we go. Come on. Come on. Let's have it. Let's have it. Not out. Third slip. Your third party has dropped the ball. It could have been so different. Rewind. Right, here we go. Come on. Come on. Let's have it. Let's have it. Out. Your third slip, your third party did their job. You're on the winning team. Come and join me and the rest of the winning team at tonight's event. It's the 11th GRC Supper Club in the last 3 years, and we're here at the Kia Oval. We have some great speakers for you tonight. We have Fayaz Chima from Vodafone, Head of IT Assurance globally. We have Lana Abdullayev from Lloyds Bank. And we also have Ray Bricknell from Beyond Every Cloud. It's going to be a fantastic evening. Come and join me. We're here in the Montpellier Club for tonight's event, and I forgot to mention, it's Chattermouse rule. So we're not going to be telling a dicky bird. Welcome to the Kia Oval with your MC for the evening, Dicky Bird. We have on the line the first chapter from Amsterdam. This is our Dutch GRC Supper Club tonight. So if you want to wave at them and see if they'll wave back, because they can't hear us, so bear with me a second. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our three speakers for the evening. And before I do that, I just wanted to mention, if you haven't been before, the structure is we will have a speaker, then we'll have a starter, then we'll have another speaker, then a main course, then another speaker, and then we'll have dessert. And the aim of those speakers is to drive conversation throughout the course that follows, and hopefully generate a few questions for you all to learn from each other, people that have been through specific things around third-party projects. Danny we have in the corner. So Danny Burgess is our in-house illustrator. So anyone that wasn't at the last event, Danny illustrates what we talk about. So none of us have to take minutes. As I mentioned, we've got three speakers. We have Ray Bricknell here, who's to my right, and he is from the MD from Behind Every Cloud. He's got 37 years of experience spanning operational level and specialized infrastructure. He has spent the last 10 years focused on UK alternative finance space. Recent focus has been on the commercial implications of outsourcing, managed services, and the cloud, assisting London financial firms to quantitatively differentiate between providers based on the underlying quality of their offerings. We also have Lana Abdullayev to my left here on the table here, who is, am I allowed to say, Lloyds Bank? And also a non-executive member of the MLROs.com, of which David is in the room over there, who runs the MLROs.com. Lana is a mathematician by training and has been in banking and financial services since 1997. So she's still only 25. And works in open banking and PSD2. Prior to Lloyds Banking Group, she worked for Experian, where she led the development of data-driven client solutions. We also have, hopefully, Fayaz Chima, who will be joining us, who is the Global Head of IT Assurance and Cybersecurity for Vodafone. So hopefully we'll be able to generate some interesting topics across the evening. And I believe I'm going to hand over to you, Ray, if that's okay. So please welcome Ray Bricknell to the stand.
Thank you very much. I'm here all night. What a great place for an Aussie. I'm surprised I'm even allowed in. But the way things are going for us in cricket at the moment, it's probably just so you can all take the mick out of us. But my goal tonight, in terms of stimulating your conversations, is to try and get you thinking about the implications of particularly IT vendor selection and how you go about mitigating risk when you're looking at particularly outsourcing and private cloud, but also how that changes and how substantially that changes when you move into what I call public cloud. I often say, when was the last time you walked down to your internal IT department and you said, how many servers are we running? And they said, we're not telling you. And you said, okay, and how do you manage high availability to make sure that stuff doesn't fail? And they said, well, we're not telling you. Yeah. So transparency is the number one thing when you're outsourcing to a model where you are putting all your eggs in somebody else's basket. Okay. And that if there's one new risk in the cloud model, it's that you no longer have complete control of that cost model. Okay. £400 million vendor went broke overnight in the UK about 4 years ago. I was doing some consulting to Blue Bay Asset Management at the time, 60 billion AUM fund. They got a letter on the Friday saying, give us £10,000 now or your service that you buy from us is turned off, okay, from the liquidator, right? So that's real and that can happen. And so a lot of the risks around governance and risk management in IT service provision are actually more commercial. The thing that I think fundamentally changes about public cloud, the first thing you'll observe is you can't do due diligence on Microsoft Azure or Amazon Web Services. 90% of financial services firms are trying to be cloud agnostic about how they adopt public cloud because they don't want to have that single vendor risk. Not really because of liquidation risk, more about commercial exposure and downtime, okay? And the way you mitigate it in that future world of coding, used by the second, is you use a concept called containerization that allows you to spin the stuff up there and there using the exact same scripts, and it doesn't matter where it runs. It's a lot more complicated than that.
Insurance could be a good example. Majority of insurance contracts are sold via brokers, not directly. What we get back from. And if you are selling it not to consumer, not to individual, but to businesses, are we supporting in the industry the potential flows and potential risk of money laundering through those type of contracts? The answer, of course, to be more transparent in your contract and your agreement with your brokers, to actually request back enough information in consumable format so the monitoring risk of KYC or financial crime is much more effective rather than in the paper binders somewhere. I also happen to talk to specific niche data providers who could tell me a little bit more about business population of UK, perhaps some hidden risk of the trading activities or hidden risk of ownership or related parties. And I would like to buy that data source. And then GDPR comes to place. How that data got collected? Is there consent to use? Is that legitimate? Can I only sell it to financial services firms who are regulated and therefore it's legitimate interest to do the compliance for KYC? Or that could extend to telcos because those telcos have chosen to be a good citizenship and do a high due diligence for their customers, not to allow any sanction prohibited or any potential high-risk money launderer to use their services. Can I or can I not? Right? Financial crime is a social issue, it's not a commercial issue. I would like to do it. I would like to give the small and new entrants to financial services world to not be weak chain in the UK financial services ecosystem. I would like to help them to succeed with offering the core services for legitimate customers, for genuine customers, but to close the door for criminals. Can I do or not? It is very gray area. And what you really have to do, you have to get to do due diligence with the data providers of those assets and be very clear what you're using it for. And by no way you can then resell that data assets to do any marketing or any product offering on behalf of your clients.
Right, so cyber risks, for all of our companies, I'm sure, like mine, cyber risk is one of the top concerns for our organization. And why is that relevant for third parties? Because the people we're interacting with from a third party perspective, suppliers, brokers, agents, they're all having cyber risks and cyber challenges themselves, right? So across that value chain, what we're seeing is the embedment of organizations and extension of value chains is starting to create kind of like the cyber risk from other organizations potentially transgressing into our organization. So 27th of June, I received the following email. Data security incident by third-party supplier. That's the email. On Saturday, June the 23rd, Ticketmaster UK identified malicious software on its customer support product hosted by Embeta Technologies. You'll hear this a lot in the email, the blame on the other party. An external third-party supplier to Ticketmaster. As soon as we discovered the malicious code, we disabled the Embeta product. As a result of Embeta's product running on the Ticketmaster website, some of our customers' personal and payment information, okay, we'll explore that in a minute, may have been accessed by an unknown third party. We contacted you because you purchased or attempted to purchase tickets between blah, 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 and you may have been infected by Embeta's incident. Forensic teams and security experts are working around the clock. Oh, this sounds quite serious now, doesn't it? Round the clock, right? And to understand how the data was compromised. We're working with the Information Commission Officer, as well as credit card companies, banks, and relevant authorities. So that's a real-life example. A follow-on, this is the day before yesterday. This is my daughter on WhatsApp. Dad, is this dodgy? So the things that came into my mind when I read that was, did I give consent to this third party to access my data? Yeah, who is this Embeta? I'm sure I didn't interact with them. How's the third party got my payment details potentially? Yeah, I hope they've encrypted my credit card. So these are thoughts going through my mind from Ticketmaster. I hope they've hashed my passwords, because I don't know what, it sounds quite serious. And what encryption levels do they have across their organization? So then what I looked at was Embeta. Who is this Embeta organization? Interestingly, and you can Google it, there's hardly anything about their data breach. Yeah, there's nothing, yeah, in news terms across the instance about them having a data breach, right? So I found an article in The Guardian, which basically says, so Embeta basically put a chat bot, and what they do is they put a bot and do analytics on a bot on websites to basically look at behavioral aspects of how people are kind of like using websites, and they're a supplier to Ticketmaster. So in this website, Embeta basically say, in The Guardian, they basically say, we developed some custom Java codes and scripts for Ticketmaster, and there was a specific Java script that they asked us to do. If we'd known they were going to put it onto a payment site, we would have advised them not to do that because there would be security breaches. From a security perspective, and this is one thing, what are we doing before we're taking on vendors, right? What security risk assessments is the first line doing, or the second line doing? I work in audit, so these are the things that we look at. Yeah. How are they deciding that the organisation that we're just about to do business with, meets our standards, be it from an ISO 27001 or any other risk assessments? Disclosure. So really importantly, vulnerability disclosure clauses. Yeah. If you have a problem, you must tell us. Yeah. Because your value chain is now connected to us. Yeah. Interestingly, in the Ticketmaster incident, and there we talk about extended value chain. So I believe it was Monza, right? So Monza actually picked the issue from Ticketmaster up, and they picked up a pattern in that their customers were complaining about erroneous transactions, and they picked up, actually, there's a linkage to Ticketmaster transactions here. So they actually informed Ticketmaster in April, interestingly, 27th of June is when I got the email, right? I wonder how the Information Commission is going to feel about that. But so again, you've got third parties and trusted advisors, yeah, and they actually informed Ticketmaster, we think you've got a problem here. So overall, I would kind of like finish by saying there's technical stuff that our organizations need to do to stay on top of their suppliers, but there's also kind of like an awareness and culture as well. So, how do we instill in our suppliers the culture of, we're going to be kind of like ongoing monitoring you in terms of the effectiveness of your cybersecurity controls. We're going to be running we're going to have the right to audit, and we are actually going to go off and do pen tests of your environments. So they get the expectation from a security perspective that they need to be on top of their environment in order to do business with us.